It was a lazy Saturday afternoon when I stumbled upon the mirror. I had been helping my best friend, Sarah, clean out her grandmother's attic. Her grandmother had recently passed away, and the attic was filled with dusty boxes, forgotten furniture, and relics from a bygone era. As we sifted through the clutter, I noticed a large, ornate mirror tucked away in a corner. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled the dusty cloth off to reveal its surface. The mirror was unlike anything I had ever seen. It had a gilded frame with intricate carvings of vines and flowers, and the glass seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. I couldn't resist the urge to touch it. As soon as my fingers brushed against the surface, I felt a strange, tingling sensation. But nothing else happened, so I shrugged it off and continued helping Sarah. Later that evening, as I was getting ready to leave, I noticed a dress hanging on the back of Sarah's bedroom door. It was a beautiful, flowing gown that belonged to her grandmother. She had been a stunning woman in her prime, with a grace and elegance that made her the envy of everyone in the neighborhood. I couldn't help but admire the dress, and without thinking, I reached out to touch it. The moment my fingers brushed against the fabric, I felt a surge of energy course through my body. My vision blurred, and I stumbled back, clutching the mirror. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in Sarah's room. I was standing in front of a full-length mirror, but the reflection staring back at me wasn't mine. It was Sarah's grandmother. I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth. The reflection mimicked my every move, but it was her face, her body. I was wearing the dress I had just touched, and it fit me perfectly. My voice when I spoke was soft and melodic, just like hers. I could feel her presence within me, her thoughts and memories blending with my own. Panic set in as I realized what had happened. The mirror had transformed me into Sarah's grandmother. I tried to remove it, but it was as if the glass had fused to my skin. No matter how hard I tugged, it wouldn't budge. I was trapped, transformed into the woman whose dress I had touched. The days that followed were a whirlwind of confusion and self-discovery. At first, I tried to hide my new appearance, but it was impossible. Sarah's grandfather, Mr. Harris, came home that evening, and he immediately recognized me as his wife. He greeted me with a warm smile and a kiss on the cheek, completely unaware of the turmoil raging inside me. I tried to explain, to tell him the truth, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I found myself responding as Sarah's grandmother would, with a calm and composed demeanor. It was as if her personality had taken over, guiding my actions and words. I was no longer in control. I was merely a passenger in her body. As the days turned into weeks, I began to adapt to my new reality. I learned to navigate the complexities of Sarah's grandmother's life, from managing the household to socializing with her friends. I discovered that she had a passion for painting, and I found myself spending hours in her studio, creating beautiful works of art. Her love for gardening also became a part of me, and I enjoyed tending to the flowers in the backyard, savoring the joy it brought me. But the most profound change was in my relationship with Mr. Harris. I had always admired him from afar, but now, as his wife, I found myself drawn to him in ways I had never imagined. His kindness, his strength, his unwavering love for his family, it all resonated deeply within me. I couldn't help but feel a growing affection for him, a love that was both foreign and familiar. As I settled into my new life, I began to notice subtle changes in my behavior and preferences. I found myself drawn to feminine activities, things I had never considered before. I spent hours in front of the mirror, experimenting with makeup and hairstyles. I enjoyed shopping for clothes, selecting outfits that made me feel beautiful and confident. I even started wearing high heels, something I had always thought was impractical. My speech and mannerisms also began to change. I spoke with a softer, more melodic tone, and my gestures became more graceful and refined. I walked with a sway in my hips, a natural rhythm that felt both strange and exhilarating. It was as if Sarah's grandmother's essence was seeping into every aspect of my being, shaping me into a version of herself. One evening, as I was getting ready for a dinner party, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I was wearing a stunning red dress, my hair styled in loose waves, my makeup perfectly applied. I looked every bit the elegant, sophisticated woman that Sarah's grandmother was. But as I admired my reflection, I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. I was living her life, wearing her clothes, loving her husband. It felt like a betrayal, even though I had no control over the situation. As the days turned into weeks, my feelings for Mr. Harris grew stronger. I found myself looking forward to his return from work, eager to spend time with him. We would sit together in the evenings, talking about our day, sharing stories and laughter. He was kind and attentive, always making sure I was happy and comfortable. One night, as we sat together on the couch, he reached out and took my hand. His touch sent a shiver down my spine, and I felt a warmth spread through my chest. He leaned in, his eyes filled with love and affection, and kissed me gently on the lips. In that moment I forgot about the mirror, about the transformation, about everything except the man in front of me. I kissed him back, my heart pounding in my chest. It was a kiss filled with passion and longing, a kiss that spoke of a deep, abiding love. I knew it was wrong, that I was living a lie, but I couldn't help myself. I had fallen for Mr. Harris, and there was no turning back. Despite the happiness I found with Mr. Harris, there was always a lingering doubt in the back of my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living someone else's life, that I had stolen Sarah's grandmother's identity. I tried to push these thoughts aside, to focus on the present, but they always crept back in, haunting me. One day, as I was tending to the garden, I found myself lost in thought. I wondered what had happened to the real Sarah's grandmother. Was she still out there, somewhere, trapped in her own body? Or had she been erased, replaced by me? The thought sent a chill down my spine, and I felt a surge of guilt and regret. I knew I had to find a way to reverse the transformation, to return to my old self. But the mirror was a mystery, its magic beyond my understanding. I had no idea how it worked or how to control it. I was trapped, living a life that wasn't mine, loving a man who wasn't mine to love. One evening, as I was getting ready for bed, I noticed a faint glow coming from the mirror. The glass, which had always been a dull silver, was now shimmering with a soft, golden light. I reached up to touch it, and as soon as my fingers made contact, I felt a surge of energy course through my body. My vision blurred, and I stumbled back, clutching the mirror. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in Sarah's grandmother's body. I was back in my own, standing in front of the mirror in Sarah's room. The mirror was still there, but the glass was now a dull silver once more. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I was myself again, but I had lost the life I had come to love. I knew I could never go back, that the mirror had given me a glimpse of a world I could never truly be a part of. But I also knew that I had grown from the experience, that it had changed me in ways I couldn't fully understand. In the days that followed, I tried to return to my old life, but it was impossible. I had been changed by the experience, and I couldn't simply go back to the way things were. I found myself missing the simplicity and joy of Sarah's grandmother's life, the love and companionship I had found with Mr. Harris. But I also knew that I had to move forward to find my own path. I had learned so much about myself during my time as Sarah's grandmother, about the kind of person I wanted to be. I had discovered a strength and resilience I never knew I had, and I was determined to use it to build a life that was true to who I was. I continued to keep the mirror, a reminder of the journey I had taken. It was a symbol of the magic and mystery of life, of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. And as I looked in the mirror each day, I couldn't help but smile at the reflection staring back at me, a confident, beautiful person who had finally found their place in the world. Years passed, and I built a life that was uniquely my own. I never forgot the lessons I had learned during my time as Sarah's grandmother, and I carried them with me every day. The mirror remained a cherished part of my story, a symbol of the journey that had shaped me into the person I had become. I often thought about the Harris family, wondering how they were doing. I hoped that Sarah's grandmother had found her way back, that she was living the life she deserved. And I hoped that Mr. Harris had found happiness, that he had moved on and found love again. As for me, I had found my own happiness, a life filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The mirror had given me the courage to be myself, to embrace who I was, and to find happiness in the most unexpected places. It had taught me that true beauty comes from within, and that the most important thing is to be true to yourself. And as I stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a beautiful red dress, I couldn't help but smile at the reflection staring back at me, a confident, beautiful person who had finally found their place in the world. The end.